Alright, who remembers where they were 20 November 2008? I do. I was at a place called Kirkuk Castle, and I saw a child burned 50%. He ended up dying 3 days later. I'm here to tell you about the group that did that, the Haqqani network. Martin Hamilton Nevermore. To understand them, you have to know who they are, what their origins were, their major attacks, and the threat they posed to the U.S. and their goals. That man is a leader, and he's a child murderer. He probably ordered to place IEDs in the road that the child hit. Heck, the Haqqani network got their start in the Afghan-Soviet War. The CIA, we funded them originally to fight the Soviets. Then once we pulled out, when Afghanistan was in chaos, they fought amongst each other. And Haqqani, Jalabad Haqqani, ended up eventually aligning with the Taliban because they made him the Minister of Tribal Affairs, which really means, hey, you want a cool title? Come work for us. And he did. Worked with us, worked with them until about 2001 when the United States invaded and we ousted the Taliban. From then, he started to form his own network in eastern Afghanistan, and they've orchestrated several major attacks on United States interests, Indian interests, and even Afghani interests in that country. They officially have no connection to the ISI in Pakistan, but why would an Afghan terrorist group attack the Indian embassy? They're a distinct group from the Taliban now. They've formed their own networks in eastern Afghanistan. And the father, Jalabad Haqqani, is pretty much given up the reins to his son, Siraj Haqqani. He's in his 30s and a terrorist mastermind. There are currently no photos of him, and we have no idea what he looks like, but there is a $200,000 bounty out on his head set by the United States government. Some of their major, now that you know their origins, you need to understand some of their major attacks and what they've done. In April 27, 2008, the Haqqani network orchestrated an attack on Kabul for an attempted assassination of President Karzai, the current president of Afghanistan. He ended up surviving the attack, but one parliament member died, and a few Afghan police and Afghan army. But they were able to kill the attempted assassins, which is good. Then, on 7 July 2008, there was a car bomb set off in the Indian embassy in Kabul, where 4 people died, 150 were wounded, and that was claimed by the Haqqani network. Officially, Pakistan said no, not good, but intercepts with India and our intercepts have proven that the ISI helped fund it, even though they officially deny it. So, yeah, they're innocent in this. Some of their other attacks have included the Rhodes kidnapping. He was a reporter from the New York Times that was in Afghanistan. He was kidnapped by the Taliban and then later sold to the Haqqani network, where he was moved over to Pakistan, and he then eventually escaped earlier this year, luckily, but he spent over a year close to a year in captivity. Some of the other stuff they've done is IEDs in Afghanistan, eastern Afghanistan. They aren't very active outside of eastern Afghanistan because that's where their power base is, and when we catch them, we will chase them into Pakistan where we can't go. The main areas they're active in is around here: Coast, Gardez, Organy, and Shrana. Basically up right about there. Earlier in 2008, they attacked a place on the coast called Fab Salerno. They used suicide bombings and attempted to get inside the gate. They weren't able to, luckily. Now, obviously they're a very active group and they pose a threat to our forces in OEF, but they pose very little actual threat to our forces, to Americans on the home front, except for training the groups that might come over here and do us harm. But they don't seem very interested in doing that. Motives mainly seem to be interested in a free Afghanistan. By free, I mean Taliban controlled, which isn't really free for anyone. In addition to that, they've orchestrated they're pioneers in suicide bombings in Afghanistan, mainly using vehicle-borne explosive devices, suicide bombers obviously, and unlike other places, they seem to intentionally hit military bases instead of just sticking them out on the roads, which they've also done, but not as much. They've also, unlike other insurgents now, they stay and fight until either we kill them or they kill us. It's a change from normal tactics over the Middle East. Normally they shoot off a couple of rockets and run, but these guys, they'll shoot off a couple of rockets and mortars and attempt to breach the perimeter. Main ways we're combating this is we use Afghani army and Afghan police to take the lead over there. We are now in war advisor roles, and we are training the Afghan army. So we're using counterinsurgency techniques there. We use precision-guided munitions to kill them if we are able to get a location. And we will also send in Army Special Forces, special tactics and such for snatch and grabs if we need to. Thank you for listening to me. I told you a little bit about who they are and how they got their start in the Afghan war against the Soviets, some of their major attacks like in the Indian Embassy, the Karzai assassination, and the kidnapping of David Rhodes. Told you about their motives. They want Afghanistan free from external control. And in addition to that, told you how we combat them using coin techniques and ensuring that it's the Afghans taking the lead. Remember, that man is child murder and nothing else.